Chapter 432. The police officer replied coldly, "Okay, then. You are insulting a law enforcement officer now. That means that you are blatantly resisting the law. Don't blame us for taking actions against you, then." As soon as he had finished talking, the police officer took out his pepper spray and aimed it directly at Ethan's face before spraying it on the latter's face. Ethan could feel the burning pain in his eyes at this time, and he subconsciously reached out his hand to rub his eyes, completely forgetting that as soon as he removed his hands, the two bloodied words that were engraved on his forehead would be instantly exposed. "Oh, my God!" one of the police officers exclaimed out loud. "Just look at him. He has some words engraved on his forehead. What kind of tattoo is that? That's really very hardcore. Ha ha. It's no wonder why this young kid likes to call other people a pathetic jerk. It is simply because he has the words 'pathetic jerk' engraved on his forehead." When Ethan heard this, he hurriedly raised his hands in an attempt to cover his forehead. However, amidst all this commotion, his eyes were so swollen and painful that he did not notice the few police officers reaching out to him. Immediately afterward, Ethan was dragged out of the car before the police officers pressed him to the ground. The police officer immediately placed his hands behind his back before they handcuffed him. This way, he would not be able to try to escape, and there would be no way he could possibly cover the words "pathetic jerk" that were engraved on his forehead. The police officers then took Ethan and the plastic face to the side of the road before telling them to squat down there. After that, he made a phone call back to the police station to ask them to arrange for a team to come over and bring them back to the police station for further investigation. As it so happened, this was the most crowded intersection in the city center. Almost everyone passing by could see the young man with red, swollen eyes squatting down by the side of the road. However, what was most frightening was not the fact that his eyes were red and swollen because of the pepper spray. What stood out the most was the two huge words that were carved on his forehead, "pathetic jerk." Many people took out their cell phones to take pictures of him, and Ethan could not help but feel very embarrassed. He jumped around on the spot as he tried to turn around so that he could have his back facing the people and he would not be facing the passers-by. However, the police officer stopped him and held him in place before saying coldly, "Don't move. Don't you like to call everyone a pathetic jerk? Well, we are giving you the opportunity to exhibit these words to the public and citizens here." Ethan wanted to die on the spot. If he knew that things would turn out like this, he would not have offended the van driver in the first place. If he had simply tolerated and controlled his temper, he would have been home by now. Just then, an old Mercedes suddenly parked at the side of the road. A young man stepped out of the car before he approached Ethan and said, "Mr. Joey, what is going on here? Ouch. What happened to you? Who carved those words on your forehead?" Ethan had been desperately trying to hide his face as he kept his head lowered, but he suddenly heard someone referring to him as Mr. Joey. He truly wanted to die at this time. The last thing he wanted right now was for someone to recognize him, but someone just had to recognize him now. He was so mad and furious that he felt as though he could kill someone. He raised his head to look up at the young man who looked a little familiar to him, and he asked him immediately, "Who the hell are you?" The man hurriedly explained, "I am Harold. Harold from the Richard family. We enjoyed a meal together before this with the young lord of the White family, Daniel. Don't you remember me?" Ethan ground his teeth and looked up at Harold before he spat a mouthful of bloody sputum at him and cursed, "Fuck you. You are just someone from the lowly Richard family and you actually dare to come over here to insult me? Are you seeking your death?"